So I've put it into ugly, which is the ugly thing is G2's future without m0NESY. Because the story now goes, it actually turns out, by the way, what I heard, look, it's not that what I heard wasn't the case. Maybe it's changed. I definitely heard it from a very reliable source. They told me they didn't think m0NESY and Nico would ever play again together. I will say, by the way, him joining Falcons doesn't mean they're best friends. It means they both like money. But I'll just put that out there. Or don't like G2. You pick which it is. So it doesn't always have to be either or, guys. Anyway, I've already just essentially made it so I can't lose on that one, Maui, because even if he joins, like, you should send that for money. Like, I've secretly built in a trap there that they can never catch me on that one. But what I'll say is this. The reason it's ugly, not bad or good, because look, in theory, it might be good for Falcons, it might be bad for G2. The reason it's ugly is this. The one thing G2 is going to get is they're going to get a whole load of money. Apparently, they're going to get millions of dollars. The problem is, if you look at the history of G2, they don't really sign players of the level of current m0NESY. Like, actually, Nico is the one blockbuster move I think they've ever made. That when he signed, like, in the COVID year, that was the one time they've ever signed an actual, like, top. Even when they got m0NESY, it was like Jambo from Fnatic.
He's from the academy team.
No one even knew if that would be good. He could have ended up like an NFL bust where you're the number one seed and you don't make the number one pick and you don't make it in the pros, you know. So the problem is they can't replace him. In the same way as they couldn't replace Nico and Malbs, there isn't, bearing in mind, Ziwu was not joining your team, despite what the fucking Spirit guy coped with when he already knew we couldn't get m0NESY, there isn't another player that can walk into and play m0NESY's spot with the AWP. Like, you are going to be a worse team. And quite frankly, if you look at where they're at as an org, they've got all these newer players, they've got Snacks there. I told you, there's even a rumour maybe Hunter takes over as Agile. I think they are going to be in such a messy, confusing place as a team after this major. I mean, even apparently at this major, because there's another thing, they're going to lose him before the major. Like, their org is going to be all over the place. Like, I actually feel really bad now, by the way, for people like Malbs. Like, mate, and even Heavy God, like, you thought you were going to be in like one of the absolute best teams in the world and grow your career. You might be in like the 10th best team after this, or like the 15th best team. Like, I think G2's in a really tough spot. Like, their team was Nico and then m0NESY. Those were the stars. They carried it. Like, Malbs hasn't had enough time in his career to be that sort of player, and he isn't that good yet. So that's why I put it as ugly. Specifically on G2, I just think they're going to be in like almost an impossible position. I don't know how I don't even know what move. I'm not even saying to just. I don't know what move they can make that fixes this. What do you think about this story, JW?
Yeah, I think it's once again I'm gonna go back a little bit and compare it. I think a bit to Fnatic as well. I think it puts them in a rough spot in the sense that what is going to bring players wanting to go there. I mean, back in the day, like a couple of years back or whatever, you could go for Nico and m0NESY, right? Of course, you want to join that team, but now, sure, it's impossible to even find someone like m0NESY, for example. But then again, you also need to get that player to be wanting to join your org and whatnot, and that's also a tricky thing to solve. And I think I really don't see the solution, to be honest, and I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do. But I feel like I haven't seen any like really good moves from G2 since perhaps Carlos used to be involved. Like, I think he was involved in both Nico and m0NESY.
Yes, as far as I know.
So yeah, I think that they're in a really tough spot, and I don't envy them for being in that position. But I'm looking forward to see what they are gonna manage to bring up.
Well, Maui, we're gonna end the show on you hating on G2, so go for it, mate. It's your specialty.
Yeah. Well, my take is this. This is just gonna further expose everybody at G2 who's currently there, because when Snacks won tournaments last year, the Blast Fall Finals, the Blast World Finals, he had Nico and m0NESY. Like, winning with two of the best 5 players in the world, like, you could let Sean Gares, the streamer, today captain that roster, and they would probably have won the same tournaments. Like, the
hot take ruined, but okay, all good.
Yeah, I don't put it past people that were, washed IGLs. Like, all the respect to Sean
and what he did
back in the day. But I'm just saying, like, anyone with any mind for Counter-Strike now or past, like, that would have been fine to make that roster competent. Like, you could have put anybody in that seat, is what I'm saying. But now it's great, because actually, in a way, like, I've come around in some ways to Taz. I've come around in some ways to Snacks. I'm not saying he's a good IGL. I'm still not giving him that. He's not
better
a good
than Twist,
IGL. But but he's a passable IGL in some regards. He's a passable IGL.
Okay.
And if they want to show that there's any value to them being on this roster, like now this is the best time you could possibly prove it, because you've got a m0NESY who showed he could be a top 20 player in the world last year, as he was one. And then you have a Heavy God who was one of the most hotly talked about prospects as an anchor lurker player, period. You have Hunter, who's still a reliable veteran presence, maybe not as reliable in the fragging department, but he obviously helps out a lot in terms of vocally leading. And then you're going to probably take a less experienced Opper, and if you can do anything, if you can get to playoffs, like my entire tone changes drastically when you have an underpowered lineup and you're making them look better than the sum of their parts. Because I'll be realistic about it. I'm not going to be when you have Nico and m0NESY who will win 1v3s, 2v5s as a duo, I'm going to give you a little bit less credit as an IGL. So now is a great time to show everybody that warm-up period that you had, that grace period where you were going to get bailed out by people like m0NESY and Nico. Well, now you can see it show the lessons you learned then with a less experienced lineup and finally earn that credit, because I'm not just going to give that to somebody. Even if they win a tournament, I'm not going to just give them all the plaudits in the world and say you're an elite IGL or anything like that just because of a trophy next to your name on HLTV's like little scroll bar. Like I need to see that you can make pieces. That's why I praise Shuhei for the Gamer Legion run in Paris. Like he took practically not nobodies, but guys that had only really tier 2, tier 1.5 experience and got them to a major grand finals. Like that showed me the value of Shuhei. It showed me the value of Ash. They've since replicated that kind of ability and shown that's not a fluke. So I want to see if Snacks and Taz can do that with it finally. Not even an underpowered lineup, a lineup that almost is just like average firepower for a top 10 team. So great opportunity for G2 to prove themselves. And I also know that the Twitter users have been just going rabid at Pekka. Like Pekka has been has drawn so much ire as the general manager of G2 because everybody's like, he let Nico go, he let m0NESY go. I feel like the only thing that I really was down on Pekka for was the Snacks pickup. Like that to me was easily the worst move that he ever went with. Everything else, I'm actually kind of okay with it. Like I think the m0NESY move was actually pretty good. I think the Heavy God one, thinking that m0NESY is going to switch roles, is actually pretty good. I want to see what he does with this, and I'm not going to throw all the blame on him in all honesty because I don't know what kind of funds he's working with. I don't know what kind of resources he has to make moves. Like I think G2 fans expect championships, but I don't know if they actually have championship level resources.
Okay, I will say as an example, this is why I was actually very sad that Huxley sat out and at this point might never play as a CS IGL again. I again only hated on him because he had an unbelievable G2 roster at the time and didn't do shit at the majors. Like, I always thought if he'd have gone to, I actually heard Fnatic even gave him off and he didn't want to do it. Like, if he'd have gone to a smaller team like a Fnatic with like way like worse players and he'd have done anything, then I'd have one, seen it was him, and two, I would have given him credit. I'd have been like, by the way, the more fair one than Fnatic was, I just thought Astralis should have given him a shot. Like, they actually had some good players, people he'd worked with. Like, that would have been a chance to show your skills. The problem if your Snacks is, yeah, he did win those blasts, but then he didn't do shit at the major. Like, what do you want? What do you want me to say? Like, it was people like m0NESY and Nico shooting everyone in the head. Like, I'd hard to give you too much credit, but if it's players we don't know or lesser players and you overfarm with you, Maui, I think that's also just the fairest way to then give them their chance to prove themselves. I think we'll stand it there.
I agree with Hooks. I just wanted to finish up there on Hooks. I think it's really weird that he did not end up in a team actually after like the shuffles and all that. I really think Hooks should get a chance.
He was. I think they were offering a trade. I'm like 90% sure this happened. That of course these rumblings are always kind of weird with contracts and everything. But like when G2 got Snacks, there was an opportunity for Hooksy to.
I believe they said it was yes.
Gamer Legion, and then he just turned that down and thought it was above that, and now he just doesn't have any team at all. The one thing I wanted to ask JW though before we end this, because obviously Brolan's been a hot topic. You played with him before as he was a budding star.
Sure.
Did you was there any semblance of him becoming an in-game leader? I know it's like 5 years ago or whatever it was, but like
to be honest, I like people ask me a couple of times, and I would say that I'm not really surprised. I am impressed, but I'm not necessarily surprised because like when I scouted him, I don't remember exactly, when I was 15 or 16, like the guy was living in demos, he was watching so much CS, and he was so much like at an early age, he was so much about the details. Like he could sit like an extra 2-3 hours just to find like a little bit better flash or a little bit better smoke. Like he was so much into the details. I never thought he would do it like in an international lineup, and especially not like this early, I think, in his career. That I'm a bit surprised about. But yeah, I think thinking back of how he's how he's approaching things, it makes total sense. What I don't see, that could have developed a lot during these years, but what I don't see is that he's not like a captain type of person. He's more like shy, lay back, more like that kind of guy, not like a captain style. So that's my only concern, if you can say that. But I think it makes total sense the way I know him as a guy viewing CS, pretty much.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.